This is just like a stone circle you're going to find in Devon or Cornwall or Scotland or somewhere like this. So what is it doing here? This is astronomically aligned to the equinoxes and solstices. I mean, I love the fact you've got cut marks, you've got standing stones over here, glyphs here, all sorts of things. You've got a hold stone which is buried now. So we're here at a site called Punkri Burwadih. Now this is a site that's been researched by Subhashish Das, who I'm here with now, up in northeast India. And to me, this is just like a megalithic stone circle we find in places like England or Europe or other parts of the world. So I'm absolutely blown away. I've been following your research for years. I've read your books. I know as much as I possibly can from what you've shared, and it's a delight to be here and an honor. And maybe you can show us around and tell us about this and the alignments.
This is the Punkri Burwadih, spelled as P-U-N-K-R-I. Punkri. Punkri is actually a tree. It is to be somewhere around here. I don't know where it is now. And Burwadih, it comes from an Dravidian Oraon language, Kuruk language. D is the village of Barwa people. Barwa means a people with the clan of wild dogs, also known as Barwa. So therefore, Burwadih, Punkri Burwadih.
So these are the first two stones you see when you enter this small, almost recumbent one on its side. Then this one here, which is like a classic megalith that we find all over places like England and Europe and other areas. Now, the whole megalithic culture here is generally ignored. I mean, we have the Hiram Benkel dolmens, we have the mushroom dolmens further down south and a few other sites, but generally it's the temples people come here to look at. But even this site, it could be representations of lingams in a very early form. We have the cut marks like we saw at Maliabad Fort, like we find at Göbekli Tepe in Karahan Tepe. We have standing stones like we find all over the world. So who were this culture who did this? There's been some evidence put forward by Subhashish Das and one of his colleagues who claim it could date to at least 1500 BC, although it could even be older, because all the different symbolism here, the style and everything does seem to match these dates. This is astronomically aligned to the equinoxes and solstices. Now the thing about this and these sites we're going to be looking at over the next couple of days, these aren't Hindu sites, these aren't Buddhist sites, these are prehistoric megalithic sites from the tribal early cultures of ancient India. Not the sort of thing you expect to see here in this part of the world. So it's really hard to imagine that long before the Hindu culture, the Buddhist culture, Jainism and other such things, there were megalithic cultures here, building and working on astronomical alignments all over this part of the country. Now we're not just talking up in here in Jharkhand, we're talking down south, down in Tamil Nadu, right down to the southern tip of ancient India, and even in other parts of the north. There's even Mesolithic sites here as well. But I wanted to come here with Subhashish Das because he's the expert, he's the one who's done all the research here. And already we're seeing standing stones, cut marks, carvings, alignments, and everything you would expect to see, like British stone circles. So this is absolutely astonishing. So we're going to get his take on it. We're going to put the mic on here and we're going to get the full story of this particular site before we head off and look at some others.
In this entire megalithic complex, I would call it a complex apart from a site, because if I remove one particular stone, the entire thing would stop functioning. So therefore I call it the complex. Now this is the most major stone. How? Now look at this. Now if I place it in here, can you see it's facing the north? So therefore, you can see the north and this is the south. Yeah. Therefore, this particular stone has been placed north-south. Now, if you come in here, now if you come to this side, I'll show you how they have aligned the south. This particular end is the south, which is aligned to that end of that particular hill in the landscape. That's the Mahudi Pahadi. That's the Mahudi Pahadi, the left. You see that edge over there? Now this particular south is aligned to that side. Can you see that? If you notice, this particular edge of the hill is absolutely in straight line with the M1 and M2 menhires up there. Can you see? Absolutely. They had positioned it absolute. Yeah. This is an absolute. And this is aligned to the sunrise of the 26th or the 27th February. If you stand here, you will see the sun rising absolutely perfectly from behind that V formation. All these three stones are facing the winter solstice sunrise. These three stones. That's a unique thing of Jharkhand menhires and even of the south. In several menhires of the south, many menhires have been found to be aligned towards the winter solstice sunrise.
So Subhashish just told me that this is really like the circle. I'm in the middle of it right now, and this is like the kind of omphalos or the kind of phallus, the centra, where the priest may have been actually buried at the site. And so it's almost like a structure within a larger structure, and then even further around, stretching across the landscape, we have outlier stones, we have the mountains and the hills. So we have a giant complex just in one area, which thankfully researchers like this we get to see now, because this has just been ignored, lost. People think it's just a bunch of rocks with nothing important to tell us, but there's a whole other story. So this is the first megalithic site I visited here up in near Ranchi, north of there, in this whole Jharkhand area with Subhashish Das and his friend, our driver. And it's windy today, it's sunny, it's much cooler than it is much further south, I'll tell you that. But this is just like a stone circle you're going to find in Devon or Cornwall or Scotland or somewhere like this. So what is it doing here? And even the placement of the stones, in essence, is a stone circle, but in more reality, the actual placement of the fallen stones have meaning relating to the surrounding mountains and the alignments associated with them. Even the mythology, we have a goddess, recumbent goddess over on this side. We have notches over in certain other places that all mark these different turnings of the year. Even a winter solstice alignment, which is fascinating because we get that at Karahan Tepe. But yeah, I mean, let me know what you think about this site, but this is one of many, and you really need to check out Subhashish Das's books. I've got two of his books, I've read them cover to cover, I've been following his work for years, and it's an honour and a delight to visit one of the most important sites in this area of India.
Behind that tree, to that V, is a V. Can you see the tree over there, to that V? There is a notch of a hill, which on the summer solstice morning, you can see the sun's rising through that notch, through this V.
The summer solstice.
The summer solstice.
All right. I mean, I love the fact you've got cut marks, you've got standing stones over here.
You've got glyphs over there.
Glyphs here, all sorts of things. You've got a hold stone which is buried now,
yeah,
which hopefully you can show me some photos of. I'd love to see that, because that's like kind of men and toll. That's like a tradition we find in other parts of the world.
This particular megalith is associated with the ancient or the primitive or prehistoric fertility cult. Now, these people worship the hills as the mothers. And this particular hill at the back is showing the recumbent mother goddess, the pregnant mother goddess form actually. Now, this is where you stand. This is where you stand or sit. You can see the two menhirs are literally falling towards one another, framing the recumbent mother goddess form in the landscape. That is the Amjori hill. And that particular role over there is of the pregnant mother goddess. And this was known to the priests or the ones who, the authorities of this particular ancient megalithic temple. And this was definitely shown to the people who came to worship here.
Here we can see some fascinating carvings here. So I've taken a 3D scan of this. I want to get JJ to take a look at this. Also, we have this very crystalline stone. We have cut marks and indentations, like tool marks on there, which are very, very interesting. I'm going to look at each stone quickly. And this does look like kind of granite actually, more than basalt. But this clearly would have been a stone circle. And that looks like sandstone there, whereas that looks like kind of white granite. I have a few indentations on this stone, but I think this one here is one of the most richly decorated stones here. You can see all the cut marks in like a grid shape. It could have been done later, used as some kind of game, but cut marks are super ancient. The board game type thing on this one. Then we have the man on his side and a smaller one beneath it. Again, this is like sandstone, whereas this looks more like granite, and that's got even markings on it as well. So fascinating. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed our brief visit here to this particular stone circle site. I mean, I really think this was or is a stone circle, and we're going to keep exploring, see some other places, but this one is important because it's aligned, it's not been too badly damaged, there's carvings here, and just the size of it is like a classic stone circle like you'd find in Cornwall. So let me know what you think in the comments. To me, this is absolutely astonishing. If you get a chance to come up to India, come up to the northeast, meet up with Subhashis Das and check out what is going on here. So thanks for watching Megalithomaniacs. We're going to keep exploring. Please become a patron if you can and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.